Hey everyone, thanks for checking back in with me and welcome to anyone who may be new. My name is Bonnie and in my channel I focus on videos talking about my experience with infertility, IVF, all that's entailed with that. And in this video I'm going to focus on why I have low AMH, which is my kind of infertility diagnosis is low AMH. So stay tuned to hear about why I may have that. Okay guys, so I first off just want to say that I hope you all have had a nice National Infertility Awareness Week. If you didn't know that this past week was set aside for that. And so some, I think on Facebook, I'm actually not on Facebook, so I don't know, but on Facebook and I'm sure on Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff, just people kind of bringing awareness to infertility. And that's the whole purpose of my channel as well. And so I just hope that that could be a source of maybe encouragement and a continued reminder that you're not alone if you struggle with infertility, though it can feel very isolating and very devastating and something that no one expects to have to go through. So I just think it's cool that they actually nationally bring awareness to infertility. But in this video, I do want to talk about why I have low AMH. And ultimately, I'll start out with, I don't really know why. And I think from what I've heard and just talking to my doctor, they sometimes don't really know exactly why someone has low AMH, which, let me explain what that is first off. That stands for anti-Mullerian hormone, and it's something that each resting follicle, every month you have several resting follicles, maybe typically around like 20, 15, 20, something like that. Some people can have a lot more, and some people can have less, which is something that I struggle with. If you have a lot more, you could potentially have like PCOS or something like that, which could actually make your anti-Mullerian hormone very much higher than normal. Basically, each one of those resting follicles emits this hormone, this anti-Mullerian hormone. So they can kind of tell if that is low, then you probably don't have that many resting follicles, and it usually correlates with each other. And so for me, my AMH, which was tested almost a year ago actually, was at 0.8. And ideally, I think they want it to be like 2, something like that. It really depends on your age, like 2.5. Like as you get older, it naturally goes down. But for me, it was low for my age. I am currently 33. So it's low for my age. And when I tested, I was 32. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to say what that is. And then it usually, they look at that, and then they also look at the antral follicle count, so those resting follicles. And I've ranged from like 9 to like 11. But if you see when I had my egg retrieval, when we did go through IVF, I ended up with 13 eggs, which is kind of crazy, and I'm still kind of confused at kind of how that happened. I'm very thankful, but anyway, that was a lot from what I understand, it's a good number for someone with low AMH and a lower antral follicle count as well. But I'm focusing on reasons why. Now, my doctor did talk about genetics, that could be, a factor in why I have low AMH. My mom didn't struggle to get pregnant with me, didn't struggle to get pregnant with my other sister, but then she did have a bout of time where she tried to have a third child and was not able to for many years. She never got testing or anything like that. She was just like, well, we have our 2 daughters, we're thankful for that. And then surprisingly, she got pregnant at 43 and had a third daughter. So anyway, so I don't know if she potentially maybe had low AMH or lower antral follicle count because she never got that tested or anything. But like I said, earlier on, and she didn't she was like in her late 20s and early 30s when she had me and my other sister and didn't have any trouble. So I don't know, I don't know for sure of any family history of this, but anyway, genetics can kind of turn on and off depending on the person as well. So could have been off for her, but on for me to have that. My sister also actually struggles with infertility, which is something I don't think I've really talked about in these videos. And she said that she was fine with me sharing that on these videos. But she has actually been tested for her AMH and was found that it was not low. So they haven't really gotten a specific diagnosis yet. They're kind of still in that process of exploring treatment and testing and stuff like that. But as far as that, she doesn't have it. So anyway, I wanted to talk some about my medical history. And this is kind of a big thing that happened to me and potentially could have affected my low AMH. And it was thyroid cancer. I actually had thyroid cancer when I was 25. So I'm 33 right now, so that was, 8 years ago. And therefore the treatment for thyroid cancer is actually, they removed the thyroid. They removed my complete thyroid. I do not have a thyroid. And if any of you, I don't know if they did a great job with my surgery, but I don't know if you can kind of see the line there where they cut my thyroid out. And I actually have kind of like a little bit of a lump kind of underneath my Adam's apple that they say is probably just scar tissue. I've had it ultrasound twice, and they've never seen anything suspicious or anything like growing like cancerous or anything, but they said it's probably just kind of like scar, without having, it's kind of it's not a super small gland, so taking it out probably just kind of affects the makeup of what's going on in there. So anyway, that was a big thing that happened to me when I was 25. And then they remove the thyroid, and then you do radioactive iodine treatment. Thankfully, you don't have to do any chemotherapy or anything like that. So I was very thankful for that. But you swallow a radioactive iodine pill, and you're put in quarantine, basically. Someone comes in with like a radioactive protection suit and opens this, steel pill container and opens it up, and they don't touch the pill, and I think it was just kind of like poured right into my mouth. I think I didn't even touch it from what I remember. But anyway, and then you stay in quarantine until you get, because you're basically radioactive, and you stay in there, and they keep coming in and checking you periodically to check with like a Geiger counter to check radioactivity in you, and they keep coming in and checking every once in a while to see if once your levels get below a certain level, you're free to go home. And they said just drink a lot of water, take a lot of showers and all that stuff, and it'll just kind of get out of your body. And that's what I did. And thankfully I got out the next day. I only had to stay one night in the hospital, and I was able to get out the next day. And no one was able to visit me or anything during that time. Even when they came in and brought my food, they just like knock on the door, I go, and then they just hand it to me, and then they don't even come in the room. The only person really comes in the room is the person doing the Geiger counter thing, and they have like a radioactive protection suit on. So it's a little bit crazy. But anyway, my acupuncturist has talked about that, that is hard on your body, no matter what. Unfortunately, the mainstream kind of treatments for cancer are hard on the body. And so that's, and it could have affected potentially my ovaries. And that's kind of what my acupuncturist thinks, just going through that could have kind of slowed things down, kind of damaged them a little bit. So who knows, that could be something that could cause it. I know that when we found out that I had thyroid cancer, my mom, that's like the first question she asked, like, is this going to affect her fertility? And I wasn't even married at the time, wasn't dating anyone, wasn't even thinking about fertility at the time. But they're like, no, it won't. And, it really, I mean, so many people have gone through this treatment and they get pregnant very easily. So it's not like if you do this treatment, you will struggle with infertility. I have a friend that went through the same thing as me, same age, everything. She got pregnant, has a son, and, had no problems getting pregnant. But anyway, I just wonder, it could potentially have affected me. But ultimately, I guess the true, for sure answer is we don't really know. But I do have a feeling that could have played a role in it. And I do know that some people, when they are going through cancer treatments or something like that, they'll freeze their eggs before and all this stuff just because of the potential damage they can cause. And sometimes it will legitimately cause damage. Like, they will tell you, you will not, be able to get pregnant if you do this. Like, especially if it's a cancer of, like, that area. So anyway, but I just wanted to tell you guys that it's something that I haven't talked about on here. I do take levothyroxine every day for the rest of my life, basically, because I have no thyroid. The only kind of upside, I guess, is that my thyroid is very regular. So thankfully, that wasn't really, I mean, I did, need to make sure where my thyroid was before doing fertility, but it's so stable and regular just because I have to take supplemental hormones for it. So yeah, that's a part of my medical history that, is a big part. And thankfully it was, not a very long process. Thankfully I had great friends and people supporting me. Like I said, a friend that was going through the same thing as me at the same age, and God brought us together. It's just amazing, the support that God gave me during that time. And the healing has not come back. I've been cancer free since then. I do have to go to the my endocrinologist once a year, but thankfully I'm very thankful that it's gone. But it just has been something that I've thought, and if any of you maybe have had the same thing, maybe had your thyroid removed for other reasons, or had thyroid cancer, or had cancer, that cancer word can be really scary. And so yeah, I would love to hear your stories as well. Also, I didn't really share how we found out about it, because it's not a super symptomatic type of cancer. And basically I just had, I actually had thyroid issues as a teenager. My thyroid was overactive, and actually potentially that could have maybe affected things as I'm going through, because I was 15, 16, and just continue developing those areas, I'm sure. But anyway, I knew about my thyroid, and I actually was on medicine, and then it ended up getting all regulated and everything, and I was able to get off medicine and be fine. And then that was maybe a couple of years that I had to go through that, but it had no problems. And then all of a sudden I just noticed that, I knew that's where my thyroid was, because they would feel it and stuff, and it was swollen there. It was kind of sticking out there, and I was like, huh, that's weird. And I would feel someone else's neck and be like, oh, you don't have this sticking out. And so then I was just like, well, I might as well just go. I had thyroid problems in the past, let me just go get this checked out. And basically through the testing that they did to kind of see what was going on, that's how they found out I had thyroid cancer. So anyway, so yeah, that's kind of a big thing that happened to me. But at the same time, it went by really fast, and I didn't really have any symptoms, or really, I did have to have surgery, which is not the most fun thing for sure. But thankfully the recovery was pretty quick, and yeah. But I just wanted to share that, because I don't know if that could maybe, if any of you could identify with that, of having some other health issues in the past that you maybe wonder maybe could be affecting your fertility. You know, ultimately we don't really know, and it's not an exact science, but just thought I would share that with you guys. So yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye.